Welcome to the Wise Women Collective Show.
Join hosts Lin Schussler Williams, Holly Hartman, and Brooke Haynes with their inspiring guests for conversations that fuel personal growth, career success, and community impact.
Tune in to connect and amplify your power, because when women rise, the world follows.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Wise Women Collective Radio. Woo! I'm Lin Schussler Williams. I'm here with Brooke Haynes and Holly Hartman. Whew. Holly, what are we talking about today?
Well, you know what I find fascinating is we women don't really slow down. Where people say we relax on the weekend, but I know that I was really busy this weekend doing some pretty cool things. But I'm curious, what were you all up to this weekend? What magic did you all create?
Oh my goodness, Holly. Well, we people say to me all the time, when do you have time for all this stuff? Or I can't keep up with you. And I'm like, nobody asked you to. You do you, babe. But so no pressure to be like this here, but we created some cool stuff this weekend. While Brooke was traveling and I was home. We weren't even in the same city, but we were working together on some cool stuff. So yeah. So I had this idea. I have a community. It's called Wise Women Collective. And I wanted to create a special offer for the women in my community. And I won't go into the details of it really, but I wanted a way to that made sense as a win-win sort of. I wanted to create a win-win for the women of Wise Women Collective. And I wanted it to be a win for my business. Like I wanted it to make sense for growing my business as well, without it being like trying to sell something into the community. Like that's just not who we are and what we do. Although we're happy to promote within, but So I came up with the idea and fleshed it out and talked to Brooke about how I was going to make that work on the back end systems that she knows better than I do of my own systems. Thank God for Brooke Haynes. Can I just say that over and over and over and over? Because the whole thing got built this weekend, like from concept to, I sketched out a landing page, like what was going to go on the page and where. I recorded a video for the top of the landing page. I wrote all the copy for the landing page. I sent it all over to Brooke. Brooke built the landing page and connected it backwards into the back of the system so that it does all the things it needs to do. And all I have left to do is to promote it.
Wow.
And it's done, like a whole new offer. And I was really excited about it because it's also something I can use if I have a speaking engagement where I need more than just an opt-in offer. I need an actual offer. I can use it for things like that. So I wrote it in a universal way so that I can use it over and over for different audiences. But I'm first going to use it for our little audience of Wise Women Collective. So Brooke, I don't know if you want to say what your take on what we did this weekend.
Yeah, Brooke is our resident tech guru that like helps us. And I was reaching into Brooke this weekend too, like, hey, how do I do video storage? What does this look like? So I'd love to hear, Brooke, what was your experience with it?
She at the end of it, I looked at Lin on Marco Polo is why I say I looked at Lin. And I said, well, that's the good old fashioned Lin and Brooke way right there, because she had the idea and it was ready to launch within 24 hours or something like that.
Yes. And that's what Brooke, the first thing I remember ever hearing you say about me in public, like to a group of people, that I still remember it to this day because it felt like such words of affirmation to me, was Brooke said, man, be careful if you give Lin Schussler Williams an idea, because 10 minutes later it's going to be done, right? She had no idea she was signing up to be the one who helps me get it done at the time, right? That was years ago, but it's so true. It felt that kind of good, juicy, like, here we go down the rabbit hole, and I
Good.
think people seeing the possibility of that. So before we get into all of that, because I want us to talk about what stops other people from doing that juiciness, and even us if we're not paying attention. Holly, I want to hear what you do this weekend. What was your juicy thing?
Talk about somebody who can execute.
Right, exactly. Talk about somebody who makes me look slow.
By the time I wake up in the morning and brush my teeth, she's already done a day's worth of stuff.
Oh my gosh, y'all. We wake up and Holly is miles ahead of us already. So I love it.
I was at a meeting not too long ago, and LaToya Bradley said the same thing when I walked in the room as what Brooke said to you, Lynn, was like, be careful what ideas, because we were in this big, huge, like, community collaborative meeting. They're like, I'm telling you, be careful what you tell Holly, because she's going to make it happen like soon. So be careful. Yeah, it's this, I feel like if I've gotten the idea, if part of the belief system I have is if the idea came to me, there was a reason why I got the idea. And I have the now belief system, probably because I'm 47 now, this belief system that I've built up of like, well, why not me? Why not execute it? And what resources do I have available? And I've had to do a whole lot of duct tape and a prayer for a lot of my business life of like, where can I piece this thing together to make this thing to work to like, so I've done a lot of training my mind of going, okay, I can make it happen. And I know I can because I've duct taped lots of things together multiple times and had success. So it'd be beautiful if I was ease and flow. Now, who I didn't have a whole long time was Brooke. Like everybody needs a Brooke in their life if they're navigating this like new business world online and all of that. But this weekend for me, I'm developing an entire new program around collaboration, and it's giving the new like vocabulary for it and a new framework. And I sat down and did a whole 5-year plan of what each year is going to have and what the revenue potential is. And when I ended at that 5-year, I like had a big gulp, and I think I even sent Brooke a message and was like, Brooke, like, this is big. And she was like, yeah, you're moving in that, you are becoming that, and I will become that. And I believe that even if the goal feels big at the end, I'm not the same person I will be 5 years from now. But I am the person that gets to start it today and know that I will become that. And I have full faith that I will. And I had 2 big meetings today. So we're now on Monday when we're doing this recording. Yeah. So this weekend, I was like, I have 2 big meetings. One with a local president of a local university here. And part of what I'm building, I want to create curriculum for higher ed. So to have this conversation, I'm like, I need a 1-pager, 2-pager. I need something to show the validity of what I'm creating. And I created 4 pages and a whole pitch and how they could be involved. And in that meeting, she was like, okay, I already have like 4 different ways I can put you in front of all these different places. And this is needed. And what I see is this. And the beauty of this is, and we talked about momentum, and we talked about imposter syndrome and how women are many younger women in particular are struggling with stepping into their leadership role and out of imposter syndrome and perfectionism and needing to get started. And the thing she said to me, and she looked at me, she goes, what I've seen about you and how you move about is that you have an idea and you take action and you execute. And she's only met me a couple times to be able to see that and go, that's what I'm modeling. And she said, more women leaders need to model that too. And that's what we're doing here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see it all the time, you all, in my Reset It clients with, worthiness is a big one, right? I don't feel worthy of the success or worthy of the support or, whatever it is, right? There's so many different angles to come at that from, but they affect what people are willing to conceive that they can get done, right? Mm-hmm. And this, I don't know what it is that there was some programming that most young women got that I didn't get. Like there was something that was counter to just go get it done and you'll get it done. I got the I know where I got it too. My dad, who was a consummate entrepreneur and businessman, used to say, just get the GD job done. Right? Like that. I heard that my whole life from the time I was a little child, only he said the real words, not the letters. But like, just get the dang job done was the thing. And that was a huge program for me. And it influenced my willingness to just get out here and do stuff. Right.
Mm-hmm. So I have a mentor that I love. She's a friend. She calls herself a friend. I call her a mentor. One of my first ones that I ever took on as a coach. Her name is Tira. Shout out to Tira. And and this weekend I asked her, I said, remind me that quote you used to always say. It's actually, there's a lot of science behind it. It's like a scientific quote. And I said, it's about momentum and fast. And she said, particle speed determines power. So the faster things move, the more power they have. So when you take those, when both of you all, and you notice I'm not chiming in on this conversation much, but when you two here get that thought and you have that download and you automatically start to work, the particles are moving and the particles are going and then the power is created and then boom, the world gets to have it. It's so wonderful to watch. I'm so glad I get to be part of it over here. I like to help as best I can.
And before anybody thinks that Brooke Haynes is only there as a tech support, because she is not. She is a brilliant strategist. And she is also a brilliant mindset and manifestation coach. So she's all those things for me, just so we're clear. She's not just getting my tech aligned in the back, although thank God she's still willing to do that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But then going back to that statement, the particles determine, the power. Particle speed determines power. Yeah, that's what you all are kind of talking about here. Mm-hmm. Is you don't take the time, because in the world that I like to play in, I'm just going to call it out, law of attraction world. It's all about the flow and wait till it's the right timing and wait until you're inspired and wait and wait and wait and wait. And wait.
Good Lord. Look, Holly and I are just going, no.
Out of my skin, repulsed by that idea.
I was going to say, if you're listening to the podcast, they just fell out of their chair. But anyway.
Right. My throat's closing up.
I'm pretty sure I supported on that one too. So, but what's funny is the co-creation and the beauty actually comes from action. Yeah, the action and the law of attraction community is starting to keep up with that. They're starting to see that too. They're like, well, wait. And Source, the collaboration with Source is you taking action with what the download is.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
So that's where when you hearing what you all are talking about, it was really reminding me of that very thing I asked her about this weekend, because it is super important.
I love that. Yeah. In the vision board workshop that I teach, I talk a lot about that, of manifestation, but you have to take action. You can't just sit on your couch and go, I want it and it'll come. Sometimes it does, but most of the time you have to take aligned action with where you want to go. You have to be in the spaces where that may be. I was at a lunch with a local mentor woman leader today, and she was talking about being intentional at the tables that you're a part of. So then you're in the conversations that are happening. And I loved the way that she shared it. But Lynn, there were some things that I thought of when you were talking about how your father showed up. And two, Brooke, that reminded me, your statement reminded me of Mel Robbins, her 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes.
So it's probably that same mechanism that makes her program and what she delivers in that. But Lynn, I wanted to touch on, you were talking about how your father showed up in the messaging that you had, and that's part of maybe where the momentum came from for you, or like this desire to take action, or,
Right.
ingrained. But for
Right.
me, from when I was 3 years old on, I would dress my brother. I became the parent early on. There wasn't anybody modeling it for me necessarily. It was that it was like assumed, and I took on that role of taking action for the family. And that was a part of it. And then about a year and a half ago, I don't remember how long ago it was, Lynn, when you and I did Reset It, meaning you led me through Reset It.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I was doing up until that time was I was getting momentum, and then I would get to a certain place. And I think Brooke and I have had this conversation before. And then I would start to self-sabotage, because like I could go, and then it would be like a brick wall with momentum. Yeah, I'll do it. And then like maybe somebody would make a comment sideways that like I'm like, oh, okay, it wasn't. But what I've uncovered in our session for me was it was really a fear of success, not failure. And that if I hit a certain level of success, then I would lose relationships, was the belief that I had. Because that was a pattern that showed up in my relationship. But from that point on, how I have soared past where I would have had my breaking point to sabotage. And holy crap, the things I've been able to create in the past year and a half after that Reset It. Like, so kudos to Reset It. And that I just thought I really wanted to mention that, like, a lot of what my first action steps was trauma induced. And now I'm trauma informed and make more strategic, aligned decisions for myself, not what the outside world is telling me. And so I think that's really interesting.
And that's true for me too, Holly. A lot of people have seen that video about the thought that held me captive for 54 years. Right. And if you haven't seen it, it's at 54yearthought.com. It's just a little 5-minute story of my life. But the thought was, it isn't safe to be too successful. And I had done so many things along the way to try to get rid of that. And I think the real point in this conversation is, we have to find ways to be aware, to recognize what's in our way, to be self-aware enough that we're always looking and asking, like, what's stopping me here, right? And to then find the ways for you to get rid of them, right? And I was on a 40 plus year journey there, right? Trying to always, personal and spiritual development was the story of my life from about age 20 to age 60. I mean, seriously. And, I had plenty of little successes along the way, but a story that sounds a lot like yours. I would get to a certain point and think, okay, what else can I do? I would just distract myself with the next shiny thing to do and never make this thing super successful, because my operating system was set on it isn't safe to be too successful. So when we get rid of that stuff, it's super powerful. And I agree. After I learned to Reset It, man, whew.
Well, that walks me right into one of the things I did this weekend, other than the things we've talked about already. Same woman asked me, she said, what if your body's actually been really helping you up until now? Like, what if it's really been helping you? And I just took that comment and I sat down and I wrote, and I haven't written in so long. I've typed, but no, and I've talked to ChatGPT, I've voice text, but I have not written with a pen other than when I sit here and write. But this is what that ends up looking like, right? So,
like.
For anybody who's just listening on the podcast, Brooke just held up a piece of paper with so much scribble on it. I promise you, she doesn't know what it is.
And when someone says, "What was that?" No, I have to go like this.
Round and round.
I feel seen. That's how my notes look.
Spin the paper around so I find that moment. Anyway, but I am listening. Okay, anyway, I wrote a letter to my body about being thankful. And in that letter, when I told it, when I was like, oh my gosh, it started coming out of me about being thankful for protecting me about my feelings. I didn't want to feel the pain. So it protected me with extra weight. It's protected me by absorbing so much processing. And then it fed into like me protecting my little girl. And then I was like, I am ready to protect you now. And my boundaries and my discipline started like coming out. And afterwards I went and ate a piece of cake. But and so then that spawned another letter about how it's going to take me some time. Okay.
Grace. There's grace in the
I need
space.
some grace. Yeah, there we go. And so I did do that this weekend, and I have noticed without being intentional at all, the differences. It's already starting. Like I looked up today and I'm like, I didn't check my email. I didn't check my phone. I didn't play a game. I didn't go through reels until like a certain part of the day today. And I was like, that's already different.
I love
Can
that.
I say, Brooke, on Marco Polo this weekend, I had a thought. Brooke's face looks thinner. She's glowing. I saw a visible difference in you this weekend. And
well, it was all energetic.
I mean, but we do. Sometimes we see that energetically, right? Like I literally had that thought. It must have been somewhere in your shifts that was happening. I love it.
And you know, that right there, Holly, what you just said to Brooke is it's an out picturing and an object lesson for what it does for us when we are in close community with other women. Because when we have a circle of trusted, positive, loving relationship with other women, especially women who are doing the things that's for them to do, like doing their own things, it is so fabulous because we get moments like just that right there. And, you know, where you saw an energetic shift in Brooke because you see Brooke and you are in relationship with Brooke and you, right? And the same thing happened today. Holly sent us a mock-up of the thing she created this weekend. And we just, you know, she heard back from us all the positive, all the good, all the impressed, all the things, right? And that sort of stuff feeds our momentum to keep going, right? That's such a clue to what we're talking about here today about, you know, that get stuff done thing. And for me, it is totally fed by being in this community of wise women right here.
Absolutely.
It's the thread for me. And when we say, how do you do so much? And the two big meetings I had today, you do so much and all this, I said, but there's a thread in all of it. It's connection.
Yes.
I'm connecting with myself. I'm connecting with others. I'm connecting others with others. Like, so it may on the outside look like it doesn't make sense, but to me, it's all about connection. And so you just spoke to that. Like, that's why I'm here. That's why I show up. That's why I am friends with you all too, beyond our mentorship that we do together, our collaborative stuff we do together. But I feel seen and I feel loved and cherished and also challenged.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, there's that old saying in personal development world about you become like the 5 people you hang out with most. And I'm like, thank God, because I am super intentional about who I hang out with most, right? And the top 2 are in this room, right? Like I am telling you, it is energetically as well as more concretely. Like it is about, I see Holly making choices and doing things. I see Brooke making choices and doing things. It feeds my willingness and my, just showing up to my own things because I'm with people who model it for me all the time. Like I could easily, go, okay, I'm done. I'm old or whatever, right? But I'm never going to do that, and those are other, our patterns that we show up to work with. I was lucky. I had the patterns of my dad, who was 96 when he gave away his last client, right? But I also have all the social programming that I got as a young woman about what it means to be a proper Southern woman, for one thing, right? Which, I fought against all the time, but that doesn't mean the programs didn't stick, right? And so we have to just be so aware and be conscious and make choices like this juicy choice.
Very juicy. And I feel like the need to wrap something up about a conversation we also had here today about the effort and the action, or we talked about action. There is a difference between taking action and even a lot of action and effort. They're not the same thing. And so what I see here in our community with the three of us is because we are so important for us to be aligned in what we do, and that we carry on clients and speaking engagements and all the things that we do are important to our mission. We're aligned, and the action is not effort. And when it feels like effort, we're often coming back on and saying, I think this needs to change because it feels like effort.
Yes.
When we look into what needs to change, does it need to be dropped? Does it need to change? Does it need to align differently with our future? What is it that needs to change about it to feel like effort?
And that's part of the beauty of this circle right here, is that we're willing to always speak our truth about that stuff to each other. That's been a key from the very beginning of my relationship to both of you individually and collectively, is we all have permission to say, here's what's going on for me. And the others are leaning in and listening and being, supportive from, I want this to be what works for you too. So let me lean in and hear what's important to you. Like, gosh, y'all, I want the whole world of women to hear that you can do that with other women. And it is powerful. Yes. Well, this was so fun, you guys. Thanks for just coming on and reflecting our juicy goodness out into the world. And I hope our listeners are inspired to go take some aligned action and to surround themselves with women who matter. I hope they'll do that at the Wise Women Collective, which they will find, of course, at wisewomencollectivehq.com. All right. Bye,
Thank
y'all.
you for joining us on the Wise Women Collective Show.
We trust you're leaving inspired, empowered, and ready to make a difference. Keep the momentum going. Join our Wise Women Collective community at wisewomencollectivehq.com.
Connect with other women. Amplify your power, and together we'll continue to rise. Until next time, stay strong and connected, because when women rise, the world follows.